What if I told you that there's a teaching from Jesus that was never revealed publicly? That between the lines of Scripture, he left behind a secret path, a map, divided into 33 steps, that only the quietest initiates dared to follow? Most people live as if the story is already complete, but the truth is, it was edited. Fragmented. And what was removed might be exactly what could set your soul free. What you're about to discover isn't religious content. It's a vibrational code, hidden behind simple words, symbolic gestures, and parables no one ever fully explained. And the most unsettling part? It's all already inside you. But like a forbidden secret, it needs to be remembered. A symbol. A gesture. A forgotten practice, like sleeping with a spoon under your pillow, might open portals your rational mind could never imagine. In this video, you'll understand why the number 33 doesn't appear by accident. You'll discover the book of the 33 steps, supposedly inspired by the hidden teachings of Jesus, and find out why it never reached the public. You'll see how symbols, practices, and words hidden within parables point to a path of enlightenment no one ever taught in church. And more, you'll learn how to apply this to your life, today. Not with theories, but with real practices. Some so simple, you'll ask yourself, why was I never told this before? But be warned, what's revealed here may completely change how you view spirituality, purpose, and even your own story. This isn't about believing, it's about feeling. Because those who feel, recognize. And those who recognize, awaken. So the only question you need to ask yourself now is, are you ready to remember who you truly are? There are numbers that hold more than just quantity. They carry a code. And the number 33. Well, it's one of them. It's no coincidence it shows up repeatedly in ancient stories, in the most enigmatic temples, and in hidden texts. Yes, it was the age of Jesus at his death, but was that all? Through the walls of time, some say 33 marks the end of suffering and the beginning of true ascension. A point where ego dies, and the soul expands. It doesn't just symbolize spiritual maturity, it's a silent calling that few hear, and fewer still answer. Strange how something so simple could carry such a forbidden secret. Ancient masters, from Hermes Trismegistus to Pythagoras, knew reality was built in invisible layers. And 33 wasn't just a number, it was a password. A kind of encoded frequency in the universe that only reveals itself to those who've transcended the lower levels of consciousness. Look closer, 3 is the number of the Trinity, balance, and creation. Repeated, 33, it becomes a vibrational portal guiding the seeker toward hidden truth. Secret orders use it in their highest degrees for a reason. The number is everywhere, sacred geometry, the body's energetic structure, and even in the connection between heaven and earth. You know that feeling, when something deep inside whispers, there's more to this? That's when the veil starts to lift. Many people dream of this number, see it on clocks, license plates, as if the universe is shouting through everyday symbols. Ever noticed it happening to you? Because, believe me, the symbol of 33 may be trying to awaken something you were born with, but forgot. And that's exactly when the forbidden secret begins to surface, not as external information, but as an inner memory that stirs while you sleep. Here's an odd detail: ancient rituals mention sleeping with a spoon under the pillow to access lucid dreams. Odd, right? But it directly links to practices tied to the number 33. Hermes Trismegistus spoke of the importance of remembering while asleep. Imagine that, something as simple as sleeping with a symbolic object, and waking up with pieces of ancient wisdom. What seems like superstition is actually practical symbolism. And maybe you've been ignoring a calling because it looked too small. The number 33 even appears in the human body. The spine has 33 vertebrae. And what happens when energy rises through them? Exactly, illumination. What the ancients called the awakening of the sacred serpent. That's not coincidence. It's divine architecture. Jesus, crucified at 33, didn't end a story, he initiated a code of transmutation. The same pattern shows up in Egypt, Kabbalah, and even Kundalini Yoga. And when body, mind, and spirit align, something unlocks. And we're not talking religion here, we're talking awakening. But the most fascinating thing is that this number doesn't just exist in the physical. It vibrates. It pulses. It speaks to those willing to read between the lines of reality. And maybe, just maybe, that's why so many cultures, with no contact between them, revered this number. As if a higher force scattered pieces of a map, and now it's up to us to piece them together. A map that, according to some, was left in 33 steps, hidden from ordinary eyes. And that's where we begin the next revelation. They say some books aren't meant to be read, but remembered. And the so-called Book of the 33 Steps is exactly that. You won't find it in conventional libraries or bestseller lists. It's an esoteric manuscript, passed quietly from master to disciple through the ages, said to carry what many believe to be the real, untold gospel. Inspired by Jesus' hidden teachings, those he never revealed publicly, the book offers a path back to the divine self. It's not a roadmap for faith. It's a blueprint for consciousness. A forbidden secret that, once accessed, becomes a key. And once turned, there's no going back. It said the book doesn't follow a linear narrative. Yes, it has steps, but not ordinary ones. These are 33 symbolic stages of the soul, each one activating a dormant aspect of your being. Each page is meant to be read not with the eyes, but the heart. Scholars draw parallels to Hermetic, Gnostic, and Kabbalistic teachings, claiming the book weaves together fragments of wisdom lost from ancient mystery schools. Some initiations even included memorizing passages of the book in deep meditation while sleeping with a spoon beneath the pillow, a bizarre yet effective method used to trigger ancestral memory. The most intriguing part? This book doesn't behave like a normal text. It's a living organism. Those who try to read it literally often fail, because the words don't obey logic. They follow vibration, like frequency codes only understood when the mind is quiet and the heart is awake. Hermes Trismegistus called it reading through resonance. In this case, the book isn't read, it's absorbed. Readers have reported visions, deep insights, and even physical changes after each step. This isn't reading. It's consciousness alchemy. The structure of the 33 steps reveals an internal staircase. With each level, the reader is challenged to confront ego, ancestral trauma, and deeply rooted illusions. This isn't weekend reading. It's a soul commitment with real consequences. One step, for example, demands a fast of the word, complete silence for 3 days while observing one's thoughts like a stranger. Another suggests temporarily renouncing your name and identity to remember who you truly are beneath the social roles. Intense? Absolutely. But also liberating. Experts in mysticism believe the book serves one central mission: to recall the path of light amid modern darkness. That's why it was never made public. Because, as Gurdjieff said, truth cannot be given, only remembered. Those who find this manuscript didn't stumble on it. They were called. And that calling often comes through dreams, synchronicities, or a line of text that jumps out like a lightning bolt. It can be something small, like sleeping with a spoon under your pillow and waking up with the strange feeling that everything is about to change. Some say the book of the 33 steps wasn't even written by human hands. Not extraterrestrial, but by a higher consciousness, channeling through an awakened soul. A multidimensional transmission, if you will. And interestingly, many link this to Jesus as a cosmic master who planted vibrational seeds on Earth. Whether or not that's true, each person must feel for themselves. But what no one denies is this: once you begin walking this path, there is no going back. Because the next step is to start living the steps, one by one. Awakening isn't a lightning strike from the heavens. It's a process. And like any process, it demands practice, repetition, and above all, intention. In the book of the 33 Steps, you'll find teachings that translate into deep, yet surprisingly simple, spiritual practices. Awakening doesn't start when the soul leaves the body, it starts when the mind stops racing. That's why the first step is always self-awareness. Observing your thoughts like watching a movie. No judgment, no hurry, no labels. The moment you realize you are not the thought, you begin to remember who you are. One of the most powerful, and hardest, steps is detachment. And we're not just talking about letting go of material stuff. It's deeper. It's letting go of being right. Letting go of your self-image. Of your roles. Here's a simple yet powerful exercise. Write down everything you believe you are, your name, job, labels, beliefs, traumas, and then burn that paper in silence. Do it with intention. This practice, present in both Eastern traditions and the 33 Steps, makes room for your soul to breathe without the mask. Because, really, who would you be if there was nothing left to prove? Another essential step is inner silence. Not just outer quiet, but stillness within. In this noisy world, learning to be silent on the inside is revolutionary. A recommended practice from the book is the hour of nothing. Reserve 60 minutes daily with no reading, no talking, no screens, just presence. Walking, sitting, lying down. At first, it feels uncomfortable. But soon, it becomes a reunion. Because it's in that silence that you hear what ego would never let you hear, the voice of spirit. Surrendering to the divine is also a foundational stage. And this isn't about religion, it's about release. Accepting that there's a greater intelligence orchestrating everything. Try this, as you lie down to sleep, breathe deeply and repeat in your mind, I trust, I let go, I surrender, while placing a spoon under your pillow. Do this for 7 nights. This small act, rooted in Hermetic and mystical traditions, has unlocked profound intuition for many. Sometimes, what's missing isn't more effort, it's more trust. It's letting go of control, and dancing with life instead. What's beautiful about these steps is that they blend the best of many worlds. It's as if the book of the 33 Steps collected teachings from Buddhism, mystical Christianity, Hermeticism, and even modern neuroscience, and translated them into actions. Not commandments, but keys. And each person is free to test, adapt, and apply them. Can't meditate? Start with 3 minutes of deep breathing. Can't be totally silent? Use a soft mantra. Awakening doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. And so, step by step, the initiate begins to rebuild their own reality. Each teaching becomes a seed, and when watered with intention and repetition, it blooms into clarity, peace, and a strange sense of coming home. But all of this only happens when you commit to the process with radical honesty. Because awakening isn't an external show, it's an internal reunion. And like every true reunion, it often begins with difficult questions. And that's where comparisons with other traditions help illuminate the universal path. It's fascinating, when you dive into the book of the 33 Steps, there's this strange sense of déjà vu. As if you've heard those truths before, but differently, in another time, with different words. That's because the steps echo teachings that transcend culture and religion. These aren't exclusive truths, they're universal. Just look, the detachment Jesus spoke of in his parables also appears in Buddhism as Vairagya, the inner silence he sought in the desert mirrors Sufi retreats and Ramana Maharshi's self-inquiry. Truth is, all serious traditions point to the same place, the center of the self. In Gnosticism, for instance, Jesus isn't seen as just an external figure, but as an inner master, a Christ consciousness awakening within each of us. That changes everything. Worship becomes embodiment. The same holds true in Hermetic schools inspired by Hermes Trismegistus, where initiates are invited to transcend the physical, not by denying it, but by decoding it. No wonder scholars compare the 33 Steps to Jacob's Ladder or the Taoist Golden Path. It's the same map, with different names. And those who recognize this begin stitching a spiritual tapestry that goes far beyond dogma. Mystical Christianity offers stunning parallels. Teresa of Avila, for example, described the interior mansions, progressive stages of divine union that mirror the steps in the book. Layers of the self that must be traversed before reaching sacred union. Just like in the 33 steps, her path demands surrender, discipline, and devotion. It's not about reading and feeling inspired for 5 minutes. It's a soul-level training. And the beauty is, Teresa, the Gnostics, and the Buddhist monks, they're all speaking of the same thing, just to audiences with different ears. You can even see it in the practices. Neville Goddard's creative visualization has the same vibrational logic the ancient Egyptians used when invoking inner gods. And that's more than symbolic. It's vibrational. It's mental. It's real. When you imagine clearly and feel deeply, something forms in the field, and the 33 steps teach this as one of the central lessons: conscious creation. Now think, what if Jesus was also teaching this between the lines of his parables? What if multiplying bread was a metaphor for vibrational expansion? What if the real teaching wasn't visible, but energetic? Eastern traditions like Buddhism and Taoism echo what the book teaches: enlightenment isn't some distant reward, it's an accessible state. The master isn't the one who knows everything, but the one who holds on to nothing. This connects directly with the inner emptiness step found both in Jesus' teachings and the ancient sutras. It's as if all these traditions are trying to say, you already are what you seek. You just have to remember. And that memory doesn't come through more information, it comes through practice. Sometimes even as simple as sleeping with a spoon under your pillow, because the symbol activates the subconscious. What's most beautiful is realizing the book of the 33 steps doesn't cancel any tradition, it reveals the invisible thread linking them all. It's not anti-religion, it's beyond religion. It invites the seeker to see Jesus not as a distant myth, but as a master of consciousness who used the words he could in the time he lived. And maybe, just maybe, he's still teaching, through dreams, through signs, and yes, even through what you're reading now. Because when traditions converge, truth emerges. And in that sacred intersection, the coded language starts making sense. Jesus wasn't just a master of words, he was a master of codes. Read the Gospels carefully and you'll see, almost nothing was said directly. Parables, metaphors, gestures, numbers, all cloaked in a language that hid what couldn't be spoken openly. Back then, truth was dangerous. Hunted. It had to be protected behind layers. And this is where the forbidden secret of the book of the 33 steps enters. It teaches you to decode what was hidden between the lines. Jesus' words weren't just stories, they were portals. And only those who understand the symbols can walk through them. Take the parable of the sower. On the surface, it's about faith. But look deeper, it's about levels of consciousness, fertile soil, rocky paths, thorns. Each soil is a vibrational state. Hermes Trismegistus would call this the law of correspondence. And if you apply this symbolic lens to all of Jesus' teachings, you'll see, he spoke in code. The 33 steps work like a master key. They awaken the sensitivity to perceive what the eyes cannot. And once that perception awakens, everything begins to shift. Symbols like the cross, the bread, the water, the wine, all have meanings far beyond what churches teach. The cross is the intersection of heaven and earth, spirit meeting matter. Bread is the vibrational nourishment of consciousness. Water, the flow of spirit. Wine, the fermentation of ego, which, when matured, becomes wisdom. The 33 steps teach you to read these symbols with the soul, not the mind. It's spiritual literacy. A relearning. A seeing with new eyes. And once that vision comes, even your breath before sleep begins to change. Certain symbols repeat throughout the book. The spiral, for instance, represents the soul's inward journey, circles spiraling toward the center. The number 7 appears as the integration of planes. And yes, 33 is shown as the final seal of transmutation. Some steps even use physical tools, like the seemingly odd act of sleeping with a spoon under your pillow, to bridge the visible and invisible worlds. Because a symbol isn't just decorative. It's functional. It activates. These codes aren't meant to be understood, they're meant to be lived. The mind wants to grasp, but the soul wants to remember. That's why the ancients always used symbols, because they bypass the intellect and awaken the unconscious. Like music that moves you without logic, a symbol can awaken you without words. And when Jesus' symbols align with Hermetic principles, something magical happens. The universal language of spirit starts speaking inside you. What once seemed like dead letters becomes a living revelation. The book of the 33 steps doesn't give everything away at once. It tests. It whispers. It waits to see if you're ready to see what's been in plain sight all along. That's where most give up. Because to understand Jesus' coded language, you have to die to the old way of thinking. And be reborn, from within. Only then does the next step make sense, applying the symbols and teachings in your everyday life, not just as spiritual trivia, but as living practice. What's the point of ancient mysteries if they don't touch your life today? The 33 steps aren't some dusty spiritual relic, they're instructions for right now. And the truth is, many are already living parts of this teaching without realizing it. Every time you choose silence in a noisy world, you're applying a step. When you forgive, even when you're right, you activate another. The forbidden secret isn't hiding in ancient texts, it's hidden in daily practice. In the micro-decisions you make between one thought and the next. That's where the path begins, and transformation too. Inner peace isn't the absence of chaos. It's stillness in the middle of it. One of the first fruits of applying the 33 steps is this unshakable serenity. No matter what happens outside, something inside stays intact. Try this. Start your day with 3 deep breaths, hands over your heart, repeating silently, "I choose peace." Simple, right? But do it for 33 days, the result is almost alchemical. This practice has roots in Hermeticism, Buddhism, and the hidden gospel. It's like lighting an inner flame that reaches even the darkest corners of the mind. Consciousness expansion doesn't happen through theory, it happens through decisions. Choosing not to react automatically. Choosing to listen more than speak. Choosing to feel before judging. These are real steps. And yes, they're all described poetically and symbolically in the book of the 33 steps. One exercise is the Day of Presence. For 24 hours, you do everything with full attention, brushing teeth, sending messages, drinking water. Sounds easy? It's not. But when you break that cycle, something inside wakes up. Spiritual clarity isn't about knowing more. It's about seeing better. And that clarity comes when you begin using these teachings as new lenses. Old problems look different. Difficult relationships start to heal. Situations that once overwhelmed you become lessons. It's as if life starts working with you, because it does. Neville Goddard said the outer world reflects the inner. So, applying the steps is reprogramming your mind to create a more aligned life. Not through miracles, but through vibration. And don't be fooled, applying these teachings in the modern world is an act of rebellion. Because everything around you pulls you toward the opposite: rush, distraction, superficiality. But that's where the symbols find their strength. Sleeping with a spoon under your pillow might seem silly. But it carries the intention to attune with subtler realms. And intention is the language of the universe. Every conscious act, no matter how small, opens a window of light. And it's through those windows that the soul begins to remember its path. Living the 33 steps is like planting invisible seeds. At first, nothing seems to happen. But one day, without warning, something inside you blooms, something without a name, but full of certainty. A peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. A clarity that doesn't come from books. A love that needs no reason. And then you realize, the book wasn't written to be read. It was written to be lived. And once you live it, you become the book itself. And you begin to awaken others, just by being. Deep down, we all know when something inside us starts to shift. It's not a loud change, it's a whisper. A good kind of discomfort. A pull towards something you can't name, but feel. The book of the 33 steps doesn't impose a truth, it awakens memories. It stirs the forgotten echo of who you once were, and who you still could be. It's as if it's telling you, gently but firmly, wake up, there's more life inside you than you've been told. And that voice, once heard, never goes silent. It calls. And if you've made it this far, you've already started to listen. So many people spend their lives searching outside for what's always been inside. And it's not a cliché, it's real. The peace they crave, the clarity they seek, the love they miss, it's all waiting for their yes. A quiet yes, but a solid one. A yes whispered with eyes closed, in prayer, in meditation. A yes said right before sleep, spoon under pillow, heart wide open to remember. Hermes Trismegistus said, the all is in all, and all is in the all. And maybe, just maybe, awakening begins when you stop looking for God in the sky, and start recognizing Him in the mirror. This is a path no one can walk for you. It's personal. Intimate. But at the same time, deeply collective. Because when one soul wakes up, it lights others around it. Ever noticed how a single phrase can change your day? A glance can shift your perception? A piece of content feels like it was made just for you? That's the calling. When Jesus said, "He who has ears, let him hear," He wasn't talking about physical ears. He meant the ears of the soul. And the soul only listens when the ego goes quiet. That's why the 33 steps aren't a belief system, they're a path of remembrance. The invitation is simple, but it's demanding. Be willing to leave autopilot behind. To ask questions you've never dared to ask. To doubt the truths you were handed as a child. Because awakening doesn't happen in stone temples, it happens in the quiet altar of your own heart. Start small. Question why you do what you do. Watch your reactions. Notice where you repeat patterns. Meditate for 5 minutes. Write yourself a letter. Speak to God in your own way. And if you feel the call, place a spoon beneath your pillow, and watch what your dreams try to tell you. What's beautiful is that awakening doesn't look the same for everyone. Some cry. Some laugh. Some fall silent. Some feel chaos before peace. But all who awaken share the same sensation, that something inside has shifted, even if the world outside hasn't. It's like finally inhabiting your body. Occupying your spirit. And once that happens, pre-made truths no longer satisfy. You want to feel. You want to know. You want to remember. So the question floating in the air, the one only you can answer, is this: are you ready to remember who you truly are? Because the book is already written. The steps already mapped. The symbols are everywhere. All that's missing is your choice. Your leap. Your courage to see beyond your name, your stories, your surface. And once you choose, there's no turning back. But there is expansion. There is light. There is truth. And most of all, there's another revelation waiting. Now tell me, after everything you've seen, will you still go on believing the story is complete? That everything you needed to know has already been said in public? Or will you begin to look beyond the surface, beyond the words, beyond what you were allowed to know? Because the forbidden secret isn't hidden from the world, it's hidden within you. And it only awakens when you stop searching outward, and start remembering inward. Can you feel that silent calling? That strange sensation that something big is about to happen, but only if you take the first step? Maybe it's a prayer said differently. Maybe it's a new kind of silence before sleep. Or maybe it's that symbolic gesture, placing a spoon under your pillow, that your subconscious has been nudging you toward. But what if it's true? What if that one act unlocks what's been sealed for lifetimes? The choice, as always, is yours. You can close this video and go on as if nothing's changed, or you can accept the challenge to apply what you've just heard. One step a day. One practice at a time. A new way of seeing what you thought you already understood. So tell me, honestly, which of these steps moved you most? Which one awakened something you didn't even know existed? Drop it in the comments. I want to know what your spirit is whispering right now. And of course, if this content stirred something in you, if it made you remember something you didn't know you'd forgotten, subscribe to the channel now, hit the notification bell, and stay close. Because here, you don't just hear ancient stories, you awaken forgotten codes. And this is just the beginning.